Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And I've got a question for you. Have you been dealing with some negative programs lately? Well, good news for you. I'm dealing with, I'm not dealing with, I'm speaking with Dr. Alain Salas, and we spoke last time. And last time, he walked us through his incredible journey and the core of his three-step process: delete, download, and create. He illuminated the profound connection between our early life experiences, our adult behavior, and even our DNA. We learned that the biggest roadblock is the deep ingrained subconscious programming that we all have. But today we're going even deeper into that to see how. And we want to explore the real struggle of moving past from being a victim to becoming the conscious creator of your future. So we've talked about the program. We're going to try to talk about the program of shame and addictions, and we're also going to do some mind bending idea about the mind not necessarily being in the brain, but maybe around our body. So, with that being said, Dr. Alain, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. That's a great introduction because you did a very good job summarizing what we mentioned last time. And yes, why not going deeper, right? Why not pushing the limit and see what's going to come out
Hmm.
with our conversation, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, whenever we are dealing with programs, a lot of us like to think that we're probably a victim, like we talked about it last time. We didn't necessarily want to say that we are victims because a lot of us don't like that, right? But that's kind of the mindset a lot of us walk around with. So, do you mind refreshing us? What exactly is the victim mindset and how do we turn that into the creator mindset?
Yeah, so here's the thing, like victim creator, I mean, those are programmed too, right? And they're coming
Mhm.
from your subconscious mind. And the
Mm.
biggest mistake that we do, when we want to fix something, like for example, fixing our victim mode and becoming more creator in our lives, what we're going to focus on, we're going to focus on our conscious mind, which is, as a reminder, only 5% of our mind and doesn't run the show. Although, this is our self identity, this is what we are aware in our life, this is what
Mhm.
our sense, are bringing as information. That's how we decrypt, that's how we perceive our reality. But this is
Mhm.
only 5% of our mind, and 95% of our mind is our subconscious mind, where all those programs, like you said it very eloquently, Keegan, are, are there. They are loaded there and they run behind the scene and dictate our present and shape our
Uh-huh.
future, right? And so here's the thing: when you want to resolve a problem, maybe we talked about that last time. We need to identify two things, right? In order to get rid of a problem and move on. Those two things, you need to find out what's causing the problem, number one. And number two, you need to know how to fix it, right? I mean, that
Mm.
seems very simple. But again, if you apply that rules, you'll be surprised how many roads you're going to avoid, because you're going to ask yourself, okay, this is really the cause of my problem? Is there any other deeper cause? Is it really the root cause of my problem, right?
Mhm.
And so the root cause of our problem is our subconscious mind, and therefore those negative programming that are running our lives literally. And we are,
Mhm.
like we mentioned last time, we all program. I've been programmed, you have been programmed, Keegan, and most of the time it's programmed from other people, right? Because when we're
Yep.
kids, basically what's happening, for example, from 0 to 7 years old, we perceive what we see in the outside world, we assume is the truth, right? And so if you
Mhm.
assume one time and two times, after it becomes a program that is located in the subconscious mind. So we've got two kind of program, right? It's not
Mhm.
all bad and doom, right? You've got empowering belief, right, which are
Uh-huh.
positive programming,
Yeah.
that are serving us, that are helping us, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of when your mind is working for you instead of working against you. And we've
Uh-huh.
got, of course, the other program that are called limiting belief. I like to call that negative programming, right? And basically, it's kind of like when your mind is working against you instead of working for you, right? And so
Mhm.
that's the one that can create havoc,
Yeah.
in our lives, right? And so that's the one that, again, those are the root causes of your problem,
Uh-huh.
right? You can do 10 years of therapy, it's not going to solve your problem.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not going to solve. So what do I mean by solve and healing? It means that you moved on. You don't even think about it,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because even when you're an alcoholic, for example, and you do like the 12 steps, all that, but you
Mm.
still say, I am an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And you're going to say that for the rest of our lives. If we can
Mm.
get rid of this programming, I'm not saying that you can have alcohol after. I'm not saying that, because there's
Uh-huh.
such a thing as a physiological addiction too, right?
Mm.
But what I'm saying, you don't have to, after when you get rid of this program, you don't have to say I'm an alcoholic, right? I'm
Mm.
done with this, right? I'm
Yep.
not going to touch alcohol, right? And that can place you in a victim mode, right? Because this is it, that's defining you, right? And we
Mm.
are much more than our addiction, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah,
Does
and
it make
being
sense? I know what I'm saying is can be controversial. I know it can be controversial, but I feel it's the truth, and people need to know that, right? You need to get out of that mindset that you gonna go under whatever addiction for the rest of your life. Again, doesn't mean that you have to try to get the product again. That's not what I'm saying. But in your mindset should be different.
mm.
You don't have
Yeah.
to say I'm an alcoholic for the rest of your life if
Mhm.
there's true healing happening. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah. That does make sense to me because, for instance, myself, it's one of those things that in the beginning of my healing and sober journey, it was interesting hearing how other people went about titling themselves, for lack of a better term, because they would sit there and some people would say, I'm a addict or alcoholic. Some people would say I'm a recovering addict or alcoholic. Some people would say I'm a sober person. Some people would say I'm a person in recovery. Some people would say I'm clean, but I'm not sober. Some people would say I'm sober, but I'm not clean. And so there's all these different kinds of ways of going about recovery in general. And so I think that everything's going to be a little bit controversial whenever we are dealing with this kind of stuff because some people try something and it doesn't work for them, and it's such a deep seated thing that if it doesn't work for them, then it can't work for anyone else. And so then whenever they find what works for them, that's the thing that worked. And if it worked for them, then it has to work for everyone else. So why doesn't everyone else do what they do? So it's something to really say that
Yeah, but
some
I understand what you're saying. Sorry to cut you up, but
mm,
okay, I have to say something about that, right? But the
mm,
cause is still the cause.
yeah.
But, I mean, there's some. I understand there's something that can work differently for other people. I understand
Hmm.
that, but still, those programs are the cause of a problem. No
Hmm.
matter what you want to reshape, and there's maybe some therapy has been working for some people, but how do they know if they didn't? How do they know that it can work even better if they don't reprogram their mind
Hmm.
subconsciously?
Yeah.
You see, how do you know there's something better? And intellectually, at least, you can understand that if you've got a program that told you, like, let's see, I always use that example, that let's pretend my dad tell me I'm a loser, right? And so,
Mhm.
right, what's going to happen? I'm going to think I'm a loser, I'm going to
Mhm.
feel like a loser, I'm going
Mhm.
to behave like a loser, right? I'm going to have
Mhm.
loser result, which is going to reinforce that loop that we talked last time about, that subconscious stress loop. I'm going to
Mhm.
feel even more like a loser. I'm going to think, man, I knew I was a loser, but not that bad, right? And so
Mhm.
that's gonna reinforce that things. So there's lots of things, Keegan, that works for people, right? But that's why it's so important again to identify the root cause of a problem,
Mhm.
right? And what is like a much higher causes than your mind, right? I mean, I'm not talking about the brain. I'm talking about our mind, which is different,
Mhm.
right? Because everybody has tendency to deal with the brain, right? But the brain, if you look, it's if you look at a computer, you compare your mind as a computer, your brain is only the physical aspect of your mind, is like the interface of it, right?
Mhm.
It's your hard drive, right? and your
Yep.
software is those program that that are in the subconscious mind, and direct the show, right? That the one who are running the show,
Mm-hmm.
right? And after the output, of your software, it's you just define your behavior, and your behavior is shows in the screen of life, and that's how it works,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you understand how it works and what's causing, and whose program are really the one causing, I mean, why not trying this right first?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm not saying there's other things that, of course there's other things that works, and there's other things that works for different people, but maybe if you go directly to the cause of a problem, you will have a higher chance of a better, very good outcome for you, right? Maybe it
Mm-hmm.
will work the first time that you try this kind of therapy, which is like the mind clearing, right? And so that's why I
Mm-hmm.
still want to pinpoint that there's a root cause of some problem, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and when you find it, right, and the closest, I'm not saying ideally it's hard to find really the root cause of a problem,
Mm-hmm.
ideally, right? But when you know that really those programs are defining your life, and if you want to redefine your life, including addiction or not, that's what you need to change. When you do have a computer, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not pleased with the outcome of your screen, what are you going to do? You're going to delete the program, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not working for you any longer. I'm an addict. I'm going to delete that program. I'm an addict, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to download a new program. I have no addiction. I'm a creator. I'm in control of my life, for example, right? And number three, you want to make sure that this is happening in your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's not very complicated. It
Yeah.
really is not. And that's what threw up people, because they say, how could it be, first of all, so simple? And how could it be like there's only one answer? Well, when you find the cause of a problem, the root cause of a problem, of course, the answer is going to be more limited, because you narrow it down to something that is so much deeper that you have been taught it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true.
So it's a different mindset, it's a different approach in a way that I think is worthy to give it a shot for sure. Addiction, they are coming, from different causes again, but it's some program in the subconscious mind. There's always a reason why we acting the way we act. And the reason is the negative programming in the subconscious mind. Now it's very tricky because we are not aware. And first of all, most of the people, they have not even any idea that our mind is 5% conscious and 95% subconscious. When
Mm-hmm.
I tell that to people, they cannot believe it, and yet you can Google it. Well, they will say 5 or 10%, or 90 or 95%. So it just you need to shift your mind towards that concept, right? Because what
Mm-hmm.
we have been told, oh, we only 5% of our mind. That's all we are. Your self identity define you, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Simply not true.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say earlier was that as we're sitting there titling ourselves and identifying ourselves, some people define themselves as being that addict or alcoholic that does not help them in their recovery journey because they are keeping themselves in that program. So that's what I was trying to say in the
I'm
first
glad to
place.
hear that.
Yeah. So
Because
whenever we're,
yeah, I'm sorry.
Mhm, you're fine. So whenever we're actually sitting there dealing with these different programs, we like to sit there and think that just because someone was dealing with a cocaine addiction or an alcohol addiction, that they had different things happen to them that ultimately ended up doing different things to choose that substance per se. But what you're really saying is that addiction in general is there can be a root cause, not necessarily for everyone, but addiction has a root cause for everyone, right?
Correct. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And that root cause is in the subconscious mind,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
on form of programming, of course, we have been exposed to different people in our lives. We have been
Mhm.
exposed to different circumstances in our lives. So we all have different programming,
Yeah.
right? That's why, you always want to treat the individual, not the disease. So in
Yeah.
a way, you don't want to, okay, let's see, you mentioned cocaine.
Yeah.
So you can have like 20 people who are addicted to cocaine, and the reason,
Mhm.
the program can be totally different from one
Yeah.
another, right? Because
Mhm.
it's a very personal, healing at that level has to be very individual, right?
Mhm.
You cannot have you identified the cause, and after it's really to the like the person, it's really whose program are very personalized, right? In a way,
Mhm.
it's a very
Yeah.
individual, whatever
Mhm.
creating that.
Yeah, because whenever, let's say, for instance, whenever I was first getting into recovery, or before I was even aware of what recovery really was, a lot of the hubbub was kind of like, if you do this or you take this or you do this regime, then you'll be like in recovery, you'll be sober and all that. People made it sound like it was super simple, easy to do. You go to like the dollar store and go get sobriety right there, but that's not what it is. It's a lot of really hard work, and it's a lot of figuring yourself out. It's trying to figure out what your programs are that make you tick, and you don't even realize that you're ticking that way, right? So how do you start to help someone identify what a program is so that they can go and start to delete it? But um it's kind of more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the first step is like to know, okay, what the heck is going on there, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so now we talk about that already. The second step is like the mindset, like you mentioned, being a victim, right? So
Mhm.
what is the victim mode? Basically, when you're a victim, it's like you blame your condition, you blame your failure,
Mhm.
um, saying, "Oh, it's not me; it's outside circumstances." Right?
Yeah.
I divorced because of my wife. I have nothing, and I have 0%. It's all her fault and all that. So when you are in denial like this, what's happening? It's like, oh, I'm in addiction because my dad did that to me. Right? This
Mhm.
is maybe there's some program coming there, but it's just,
Mhm.
oh, only that it's because my dad and my mom and all that. But you
Mhm.
don't take any responsibility, right? And
Mm.
and 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 everything's coming from you, right? It's coming
Yeah.
from whose are your program, right? Is it
Yeah.
fair that you've got whose program? No. But
Mm.
let's grow
Yeah.
up. Life is not fair, right?
Yeah.
There's kids who's got cancer and are born with cancer, for God's sake, right? Is it fair? No,
Mhm.
it's not.
No.
But always when we have so the victim mode, the problem with that is just since you don't take responsibility, right?
Mhm.
So it's always the outside world. So
Mm.
you cannot
Yeah.
learn the lesson, right?
Mhm.
Because even addiction or trauma or whatever, and I know sometimes some trauma are pretty hard, to swallow, right? That can be
Mhm.
like rape or something like that, right? But
Mhm.
it's always an opportunity to get better. And when you
Yeah.
see a life like this, like all your challenges, all your setback, all the obstacle that you've got in your life, when you understand that there's always a lesson for you to learn. And
Mhm.
the good things, when you learn that lesson, you don't need to have the experience any longer.
Yeah.
And that's really the key, when you can approach life like that and say, even if you are in a dark place, like
Mhm.
I've been, right? We talk about my life and all that. When you're in a dark
Uh-huh.
place, but okay, there's a greater good in that. There's something. What are
Uh-huh.
the lessons for me to learn, right?
Yeah.
And when you've got that mindset, you are more in a greater things, right? And
Mhm.
everything changes.
Yeah.
Like, because you cannot blame on anybody. It's coming from a part of you, but it's
Mhm.
subconscious, right? It's a part of
Yeah.
you. But with some technology, you can change that, right? And become a better
Mhm.
person.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you said earlier was really spot on, because it made me think back to recovery in the AA book, because it's talking about, if you don't do this, if you don't take accountability for everything, if you don't do this sober journey, recovery, whatever you want to call it, for you and understand that this is on you kind of thing. If you blame other people and like say you try to go to Alaska or like the North Pole where there's like no one there, someone would come across your way that would have a bottle of your favorite drink, and then oh no, life happened. That's you they just happened to give you a glass of it and you just had to drink it or whatever, and it's like no, that's life happening. You can sit there and you can say no to that you moved out there for not wanting to do that. So, but a lot of people don't want to do that responsibility taking because they feel like it's owed to them, right? They feel that it's kind of what's keeping them alive, maybe, right?
Yeah, that's why it's so important to change this program because you can, for example, it can be like, I mean, it can go really crazy in a way, right?
Hmm.
You can have like because my uh, I've been, I don't know if your audience know, but I've been like a natural healing doctor for 30 years, right? And I
Hmm.
deal with chronic, long-term pain and stress, right? And so if some people, first of all, if some people they believe that I need a surgery to heal my knee. You can be the best healer of a knee. Let's say it's your specialty. You're not going to be successful. Maybe it's going to
Mm.
work a little bit, but after it's not because that belief system is
Mhm.
anchored in their mind because maybe their dad or mom had a surgery of a knee and was successful. So they had that program. So there's nothing that you cannot change that until you
Mm.
change that programming, right? Because the surgery become the placebo, right? It's just, oh,
Mm.
I'm having a surgery, so I'm going to be healed. That's what I believe. Even if they don't do the surgery, that person will get better for sure, right? And heal
Mm.
from that. So that's what we are going against. This
Mhm.
program. I mean, there's a study that they
Mhm.
did, right? And so they took some people that had some arthritis, so they did some cleanup of a knee or whatever. So it was
Yeah.
not that invasive. But one third of the people actually didn't get the surgery. They had only the scar,
Huh.
right? And the success rate was the same as the people who had the surgery.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Isn't it crazy? So what does it
Mm.
mean? It means you show up, right? You say, I'm gonna need problem, I'm gonna have a surgery. They say, okay, no problem, we're gonna do a surgery. So one third of those people, they just did the scar, they didn't touch the knee. That's it.
Mm.
And they get the same result, like positive result, with the one who didn't have a surgery but have only the scar, and the one who actually had the surgery had the same exactly result.
Huh.
So why? Because they believe that having the surgery will heal their knee. It's called the placebo effect.
Huh. I
So that's
didn't
how our
th
mind works. They know that. They know that medically. Yeah, medically, what. So to put in a more like maybe concrete form, right? The placebo
Mhm.
effect is what? Okay. So let's
Yeah.
see. There's a study about heartburn, right?
Mhm.
And so they say, hey, you want to be a part of? Let's pretend I've got heartburn, right? So they
Uh-huh.
say, hey, do you want to test that pill, right? If you take that pill, they tell me no more heartburn.
Mhm.
I take the pill, yeah, they are right, no more heartburn. But they
Uh-huh.
say, hold on, Dr. Salas, you never got the pill, you've got the sugar pill.
Uh-huh.
So how come I have no more heartburn? Is
A
because with
placebo.
positive programming, what we call empowering belief, right?
Mhm.
The placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
And also there's the nocebo effect, which is so much more prevalent in our life. So what
Mm.
is the nocebo effect? I take the pills and they say, there's side effect with that pill. And so
Mm.
you may have diarrhea, you may have a headaches, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And I take the pill. I say, man, I got better, but I've got the side effect. They describe it to me.
Uh-huh.
So that's the nocebo effect. So it means what you
Mm.
believe will be is negative about what you're taking will happen to you. That's
Mm.
how, and they brush it up as, oh, it's only the placebo effect. No, that's how healing works.
Uh-huh.
That's true healing right there. That's a deeper healing that you can have.
Uh-huh.
Because when you're programmed in the subconscious mind, and they can be conscious too, but
Mhm.
they have to be in the subconscious mind in order to work as a placebo effect.
Huh.
So they already know that, but they say, oh, it's only the placebo effect. No, that's how healing works.
Uh-huh. Okay, so placebo equals healing, but if you get something and it does the opposite and it does damage, then it's the nocebo effect.
The nocebo is the negative effect
Yeah.
of your subconscious programming.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you believe,
So,
and so
yeah.
when you look at your environment and
Mm,
all what they tell you about the bad news, all that, those are nocebo effect. That's
mm,
how they program your mind. Oh,
mm,
you cannot be independent, you need the government. I don't need to be, I don't want to be political here, but it's all around us. The
mm.
nocebo effect is so much more prevalent than the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that's going to be the end of the world, well, maybe, your cell's going to believe it. Maybe you're going to get sick. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yep. And then that way it just kind of keeps the pharmaceutical machine going because everyone's getting sick and then they need people fixing them. And then yep. It just keeps on going and going until
Yeah,
someone gets the
yeah, that's
placebo.
how you control the population.
Mm, yeah.
That's how you control the population. I mean,
No, it is.
for sure.
It's you sit there and you make them sick. You take control of their health in a sense, their food supply and all that. Yeah. Uh, so you there's a lot to say about everything going on right now. But
Yes, I know, I know,
uh,
I know, I know. Trust me, I know.
oh man. And it's so hard not to really dive into that stuff too, because in a sense, whenever you're on the other side of things, you can sit there and you can see other people's programming, and you can sit there and be like, "Hey, you're kind of like doing this, and you don't have to. You can go this way, you know." And it's really hard to like convince people, but you can't really convince people to heal. They have to be ready for it, right?
No, you cannot, like you say, you have to take your responsibility, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's zoom out. Since you want to talk about more things like that, maybe I talked to you
Okay.
about
Okay.
that last time. It's something that is very dear to me. So
Yeah.
in a way, like, how do I see the way? Who are we, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
very simple question, right? Who are we? Well,
Yeah.
the way I see that, if you zoom out, we've got like awareness. You can call that God awareness. Depends what your belief is, right? That is
Mm-hmm.
something above, right?
Yeah.
And so let's pretend this is the sun, right? And
Mm-hmm.
after a spark of the sun will create your spirit, and this is all non-duality or pure love. There's no
Mm-hmm.
good and bad, right? And after
Mm-hmm.
you've got the sky, and after you've got you and me as a physical being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's very cloudy in your sky, right? And you say there's no sun,
Mm-hmm.
I never feel it, I never saw it, right? And so
Mhm,
what those clouds are made, they are made of those limiting belief. They are made of those
mm,
negative programming, right? So
mhm,
when you start to get rid of some limiting belief, now you can start to feel the warmth of the sun, right? You can get a glimpse at the sun, and since it's pure love and all that, you love it. You say, man, that's
mhm,
really good, right? And so you get excited and you get more cloud out, more limiting
mhm,
belief, right? And you get more
mhm,
connected to your spirit.
mm,
And after you become at one point what we call the awakening. And what
mhm,
is the awakening? It's like that we realize that you are not only 5% of your mind, you're not only flesh and bone, right? You are a
mhm,
spirit living a physical or human being experience. And when you
yeah,
really realize that and you experience it, you cannot go back. And
mhm,
that transcends even more the victim creator mode. That's why they call that the awakening. But it's very simple. It's when you really realize deep in every cell in your body that you are much more than a conscious mind. You're much
mhm,
more than that. You just and that's the things, because if you think you're only 5% of your mind and your conscious mind, well, I mean, that's the little me.
yeah,
That's what we use, the little me, right? And so,
mhm,
but when you understand that you are so much more that and you experience that, when you
mhm,
realize you are so much more powerful that you have been told, and you are
mhm,
so much more powerful, you are much more than I am an alcoholic or I am this or I am that, right?
yeah,
Whatever you define yourself, like I can say I am a doctor, but this is
mhm,
so much more than that. And
yeah,
after when you more and more you get rid of your limiting belief, more you connected to your spirit and
mhm,
the divine, and bad experience, what you judge or you will have judged before, like bad experiences, like we
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, setback and things like that. After, you can cruise through that because you understand that it's only a movie playing in front of you, right?
Yeah.
And you can detach yourself, right? And so when you detach from all the emotion and the negative thought, there's a peace that come to you, right? And it's so
Mm-hmm.
much easier after to navigate life.
Yeah. Um. Weird. Uh. Hmm. Sorry. Just realized that this stream kind of broke for some reason. I'm going to get it back going if it'll start. Um. But yeah, no, one of the things that you were talking about real quick, the sun and being covered up by the clouds and stuff, it kind of made me wonder if it was similar to, like, I don't know if this is a like good correlation or not, but it's kind of like it sounds like those self-limiting beliefs are quote unquote sin, because sin is supposed to be the division between self and divine. So it's kind of like those self-limiting beliefs are really holding you back from really experiencing the divine, right? So it's kind of like, why do we believe that some things are bad whenever really maybe they're not? Kind of like you said, addictions, because addictions, they do have a role to play. Like you said earlier, they do teach us a lot. Like if I hadn't gone through my addictions, then I wouldn't have experienced a lot about myself. I wouldn't know about myself as much as I do. And I would be not as well decent as a person otherwise. So my addictions have taught me something, but I did have to go through a lot of pain and bad negative stuff to actually have something good come out of it though. But that's kind of the thing, is that those limiting beliefs were kind of shaped and given to me by everyone else around me. So it's one of those that it's also given to us by shame. We kind of shame ourselves into sticking to those self-limiting beliefs, maybe. Do you think?
Well, okay. So life is vibration, right?
Hmm.
So life is like this,
Yeah.
is a vibration, is a wave.
Hmm.
Everything in life, everything vibrate. All the cell vibrate, everything vibrate, right? So
No.
when you've got the first part of a wave, it's what we call the positive, and
Uh-huh.
after you've got the zero line, and after you've got the negative, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
positive doesn't mean good, positive doesn't mean bad, it's just the way it is. So
Uh-huh.
you can see the positive part is the light, and
Mhm.
after you cross, so I call that the head, right?
Okay.
So you've got the head, at the cross you've got the heart, and
Mhm.
after you've got the gut,
Mm.
right? And so the gut, it's where like the woman have a baby, right? In the
Mhm.
darkness.
Yeah.
So what happened? Because we always say, "Oh, I want to be unlighted." They make a big deal out of the light, but first of all, without darkness, you don't know the light, right? They
Yeah.
work together,
Mhm.
right? And so when you go on the wave, so you
Mhm.
start with light and after darkness. So it's like
Mm.
the tree. Okay,
Mhm.
what is the role of a tree? It's to make a fruits, right? So the
Mhm.
trees
Yeah.
are in the light, and there's a fruit that comes from the light that go after down the earth,
Mhm.
and after it goes into the darkness, where it's going to get all the minerals to grow as a tree.
Mhm.
So we create in the darkness. You see,
Mm.
that's how we create. It
Ah.
doesn't mean that's how you create a baby. The
Uh-huh.
baby is in the mom and stay in the darkness for 9 months, right?
Uh-huh.
Everything comes from the darkness.
Mhm.
And it
S
doesn't mean good and bad again. That's the way
Uh-huh.
it is,
Yeah.
simply. You
Yeah.
see what I mean? So
Mhm.
when you are in the darkness with your addiction, that's a good opportunity to create things, to be
Mhm.
able to transform yourself, to reborn. That's probably what happened to you, Keegan.
Yeah.
To reborn as a being, right?
Mhm.
But you have to be on that darkness. So
Yeah.
that's why we always have cycle of things that are more challenging and less challenging, right?
Mhm.
Like the Walt Disney movie at the end, they say, "Oh, they will marry and be happily ever after. It's an impossibility. It's
Yeah.
not possible.
No.
Life doesn't work that way.
No.
It's rhythm,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Uh-huh.
there always something that we like better. That's our judgment again, that we
Mhm.
like better, and something that we don't like. But when you are in the darkness and
Mhm.
you are more in a creator mode, you understand the power of that. That's a
Mhm.
unique opportunity because you know what to work on,
Yeah.
right? If you're not
Yeah.
in the darkness, how do you know? How can you improve? You don't know what to work on. So it's a unique opportunity for you to say, oh, this is life showing me this, so I need to work on that. Like that, first
Mhm.
of all, is not going to happen to me, and I'm not going to grow as a human being, meaning I'm going to have more clarity, I'm going to be able to have more focus, I'm
Mhm.
going to be able to be more confident, and basically, I'm going to be able to raise my vibration, like they say, right? To
Mhm.
become a better human being, right? Without the darkness, you cannot do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that darkness does, like you said, we I love that you mentioned that we create in the darkness, because lately I've kind of been thinking, kind of going through some dark nights of the soul myself. And it's kind of like, I'm finding some parts of me that are kind of not necessarily like falling off, but they're withering off. And then as I'm inspecting it, I'm finding out that it doesn't really need to be there anymore. Like it's kind of served its purpose, it's dropped its fruit, per se, if you will. And so it's time to cut it off and put it to the compost heap, and direct it where I want that old energy to kind of go in the future. But I don't know if that's like a decent way of thinking about it, looking at it, but that's kind of how I've been feeling lately, is that I just need to take those parts of me that are not really suiting me anymore, they're kind of done, and just feed it to whatever else needs it now. But I don't know. It's just
Yeah, exactly. They are not serving you any longer, right? Because you
Mhm,
can see that this is not you anymore, right? So what I will do personally, of course, I use mind clearing, right? I delete
mhm,
this program, right?
yeah,
And so like that, I can move on, right? And so more and more you do that, and after, even when you are in the obstacle, like I mentioned, of a setback, of a darkness, you still have you are more the observer, right? So you
mhm.
don't get too involved emotionally. At first, you're gonna be, we are
Ooh,
human beings. It's
uh-huh,
normal to have negative thought and emotion towards something we don't like. What's the
mhm,
problem, and it's really the problem with addiction, is when we get stuck on it
yeah,
and we
yeah,
don't want to see ourselves in the mirror. That's
mhm,
addiction. That's what addiction is. You don't
yeah,
want to look at yourself, and so what you're going to do, you're going to look for an escape, and the
yeah,
escape is going to be chemical, right? It can be
mhm,
food chemical, it can be drinking cocaine, whatever. It's going to be chemical, because when you look at yourself, it hurts too much, so you don't
mhm,
want to see that. You don't want to find a solution for that, because you cannot even look at it,
mhm,
right? You totally
yep,
total denial in a way, right? And so
mhm,
the refuge is just to get some chemical like that. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to look at yourself, and that's an
mhm.
escape. Now you know all the problems that come with that, right? It doesn't work, right? But it's
No.
uh, but it that's how you realize that it doesn't
Mhm,
work. I really to do something, and
yeah,
the things that I have to do, it's about, about
mhm.
myself, go as deep as possible, and changing, as we know now, with negative programming.
Yeah, and that negative programming can be really tough to just dig at. And I'm sorry. Ugh. Uh, you have that nice capability of being able to delete it and be able to move on and just like kind of wash your hands from it. And if it pops back up, you just delete that scenario, then, right? It's not something that it's like, oh, it comes back and
That's
I'm
right.
triggered again because the same thing happened. It's no, you delete it and it doesn't bother you anymore. If it comes back, then it's a different scenario, right? It's something else that re-triggers it. It's not the
It's a
same
different
trigger.
trigger, and so you
Yeah.
delete the trigger.
Mhm.
You delete the circumstances that cause that, which are called trigger, right? And so some, like, for okay, this is as powerful as getting rid of pain, right?
Mm.
Because when you start
Mhm.
to, because we can talk about, oh yeah, that's nice, we get rid of this programming, right? Okay, but people will say, well, but how practical or concrete it is. Well,
Mm.
you can deal it with mind clearing a negative emotion in 5 minutes. So it
Mm.
means you don't feel bad, boom, you feel good right away, right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's basically this. But when you talk about pain, somebody's got recently I treated somebody who had sciatica, right?
Mm.
We did two treatments the same day, it was gone, never came back.
Huh.
This is
Wow.
pain. This is hardcore pain, acute pain. So
Uh-huh.
you have to understand that this is in a way very practical. I don't know anybody who are in the limiting belief that even dare talking about getting rid of the pain and all that.
Mm.
Just to go there. So that's when I was able to help. I mean, I was able. The technique was able to help pain and things like that. But I say, oh, we are under something here
Mm-hmm.
because pain is there or is not, it's real, right? It's not like
Mm-hmm.
something, it's like the placebo effect, right? It's real when you don't have any heartburn, right? So why
Mm-hmm.
a technique wouldn't do the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
I
mind
mean,
clearing, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. And I mean, that's one of those really cool things that we've kind of talked about, but you've talked about, sorry, is that we use about 5 to 10% of our brains consciously and the other 90, 95% subconsciously. So whenever we're using this program deletion of sorts, it is using our subconscious to delete itself, right? It's not using our conscious to delete it because we can't beat 90% with 5%, right?
correct.
Or I mean 95 with 5%.
Correct, because you have to speak the same language by the subconscious mind, and the
Mm,
language of the subconscious mind is like when you've got a dream, it's basically the subconscious mind communicating with you, right? That's
mhm,
why there's lots of book about dream interpretation and all that. So it's
mhm,
about symbolism, but basically the language of the subconscious mind is pictures, right?
yeah,
So I will ask people, okay, visualize the what you don't want, basically, right? And after I
mhm,
created that program where they download themselves the program to themselves in that picture, right? And
mm,
after that's the first step, you delete, but you don't want only to delete because there's a space after that is available that you
mhm,
need to replace that something that you want. You
mhm,
see, and that's our tendency. We say, oh, I don't like that, I'm going to get rid of that. But okay, what
uh-huh.
are you going to put instead of? You see?
Yeah.
And sometimes we forgot that, where we say, oh, let's delete. Oh, I'm comfortable now. I don't have that negative emotion. But please replace it.
Uh-huh.
Leave that space. You cannot leave that space like that, right? So
Mhm,
you need to replace it by something that you want. And after the ultimate, you want to make sure that this is happening. This is no joke, right? This is not a fantasy in my mind. I want to make sure that I manifest that in my life, right? That the
mhm,
pain is gone, for example, right?
uh-huh,
Because you can see, oh, look, hey, Keegan, you have neck pain now. Did reprogram yourself, you should be better. You say, but I still have neck pain, right? So you
uh-huh,
want, okay, so that's why it's important after to create again, right?
mm,
To make sure that you manifest that. Oh, and after you tell me, oh, you're right, the neck pain is gone. And maybe the next day you call me, you know what, it's back. I say, okay, what are the circumstances, right? Oh, well, I
uh-huh,
just step in my car and I bend over. Okay, so we'll delete that. Right now, we're
mm,
deleting the triggers, right? Oh, I got
mhm,
mad at my wife. Okay, boom, we delete that, and
uh-huh,
after right away the neck pain is gone when we delete that.
mm. Wow. Huh. That would be really cool, and I could see how that would help out a lot of people too, especially if someone's dealing with chronic pain. Because I know a lot of people don't really want to be dealing with painkillers and then accidentally wind up in addiction because they're just trying to deal with their arthritis. You know, so it's one of those things
Exactly.
that we can sit there and delete a lot of old programs that we don't want anymore. But what happens? Well, I guess no one would really want to try to delete something that they want to keep. But I'm really glad that you said we have to create something in the space that was the space that is the program because uh I know for myself, whenever I got off of alcohol and everything, I loved energy drinks. They were everything. It was amazing. Like I would have energy drinks all the time, and then it's like, oh no, I just replaced an addiction with an addiction, and it was like, oh, it's healthier, but it's still not good, like in any sense, way, shape, or form. So I still had some work to do, and so it's kind of one of those things. Like I thought I got to the root and I got like to it, but I didn't get it all the way out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because there's such a thing as addiction mindset. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, you replace, and that's very frequent. I heard that all
Mm-hmm.
the time, right? So, okay, I
Yeah.
stop drinking, but smoking like crazy, right? Or something like that, right? And that's very often that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, right? I mean, you want to, of course, you want to heal and be less destructive for yourself and other people, of course. But that's why the mindset comes, and that's why those programs are so important to be deleted.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Yeah.
I treated somebody. She was not for like some pain and chronic disease, and she was a person, right? And one point I told her, you know what? I will advise you not to go to those AA because all the work. And I know it's like, wow, can you do that? Well, it was reprogramming her again and
Mm-hmm.
again, but she's a victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what she did, she said, but all my friends are from AA. I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm just telling you for your mind because we did so much work
Mm-hmm.
emotionally and the mindset and all that. You don't need that. She said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what she did, she fired a sponsor, right? I think because
Uh,
she
yeah.
thought it was too negative now for her, right?
Mm.
Because her mind was, the vibration was higher.
Uh-huh.
And of course, she stayed in that environment. I said, yeah, that was my advice, right? Just to see how it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not healing, right? True healing is when you moved on, you're done with it, right? So
Yeah.
I understand that you have to understand that she did the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Previously, I didn't say, I'm not going to come to the street and say, oh, you don't need to go to your meetings because I say so. No, we did the work, right? We did
Yeah.
lots of reprogramming, right? And after I could tell that this was not a good environment for her
Mm-hmm.
at the stage that she was.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided just to fire a sponsor, which I think was good because she was holding her back, right? At
Mm-hmm.
that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and not judging, but that was true.
Yeah.
So you see, so there's after you just when you come to the concept and really going to really the root cause of a problem and changing that change the game,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even the things that you thought, oh, you cannot do that because blah blah blah. Well, if you really reprogram the mind, like with a placebo effect, well, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Just you can even that person with a heartburn just can imagine taking the pill. It will work the same, right? Don't even
Mm-hmm.
have to do that. You see what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's a game changer. That's what I'm trying to say. When you understand more how our mind works and our mind and body connection works, it's a game
Mm-hmm.
changer because what you thought you have been told that using only 5 or 10% of your mind power is going to solve all your problem, that's a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of baloney. It cannot work. It's pretty obvious. But when you use 100% of your mind power,
Mm-hmm.
now we're talking. It's a game changer for so many things
Mm-hmm.
because all come from our mind, right? And our
Yeah.
perception of reality that's define who we are, but
Mm-hmm.
also, unfortunately, define what we think we can do and cannot do, and how we see ourselves. When you change the way you see yourself, and when you realize how powerful you are, there's no more boundaries, right? It's a game changer.
Yeah, that's for sure. And real quick for everyone out there that is looking to get your expertise and find out more about you, where can they find you at?
Oh, they go to my website. It's called the mind. Here we go, themindclearing.com. Contact us, and like everything, we can talk about it forever. But really,
Mm-hmm.
you truly know what we're talking about when you experience the work. So
Yeah.
if you want to get a treatment with me, it takes an hour. It will be $120, something like that, because I give you a discount, and you will understand really what I'm talking about, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we can reprogram anything you want. It can be a thought, can be a negative thought, negative emotion. It can be a situation, it can be pain, it can be everything, because everything ultimately comes from the mind.
Yeah.
When you understand that, and when you understand how much bigger it is, it's not only the little me, it's not only 5% of our mind. We're talking about 100% of our mind. And when
Mhm.
you've got the technology that you can tap into that and change that, this is it.
Mhm.
This is it.
Yeah. That's for sure. And whenever we're dealing with that kind of technology, it's pretty interesting to see what it can really do. So, real quick, how do you deal with someone's subconscious if we're dealing with imagery? It's just visualization, is that correct?
Yeah, but you have to visualize yourself in the action. So
Mm.
basically, give me an example I can work on. Something that
So,
somebody or you would like to reprogram.
reprogram. All right. Um, getting upset whenever I leave dishes in the sink for too long. How about that?
All right, so you visualize. I will say, okay, Keegan,
Okay.
visualize yourself
Mhm.
at the scene. You look, you those dishes has been there forever. You mad at it,
Mhm.
right? So I say, so you visualize you being
Mhm.
mad at it, right?
Mhm.
I call that the past you. So you
Mhm.
visualize that, and I
Mhm.
will say, okay, from 0 to 10, how mad are you?
Like a 6 or a 7 because I'm pretty mad about
Yeah,
it for
so it
some
will be,
reason.
you need a better picture. So
Okay.
let's pretend we get to a 9 or 8, 8 or 10, right? You've got
Okay,
that.
okay.
And after I will give you the program to delete that. And after basically at the end of the deletion, which is last, just depends how many things there is, but it can be like 15, 20 minutes.
Hmm.
You will look at the picture and you will have zero feeling, zero negative feeling. You'll
Oh,
be
wow.
totally neutral.
Huh.
So it means we did accomplish that. So when you were like 10 over 10, the same picture, you look at it, you don't care.
Mhm.
It
Okay.
doesn't bother you anymore. And
Yeah.
after I will say, okay, now let's do step number two, Keegan, right?
Mhm.
So now I want what we're gonna what do you let's see, there are some dishes have been there forever. How
Mhm.
would you like to feel in
Uh,
positive way? What will be the ideal things, right?
uh-huh. It'd
So
be
for some people, okay, go ahead. What will
uh,
it be?
it'd be more kind of like gratitude that I at least had food to eat out of those dishes. And
Yeah,
now I can be
whatever it is. So
yeah.
you visualize that. So you
Mhm.
see yourself,
Mhm.
a picture like that, right? And after
Mhm.
I'll give you the technology to send it to you to download that picture. And you start to
Mm.
feel, oh, maybe you see dirty dishes now, you're going to be so grateful you won't believe it. That would be funny, actually. And after we do the creation program, right, we want to
Uh-huh.
make sure that actually is going to happen to your life.
Mm.
So what's going to be your first step, things like that. And
Mhm.
after, from those pictures, you will have like a ritual in the morning that takes 5 minutes, or you
Mhm.
visualize your power picture, right?
Mhm.
That's going to keep you in track for a few weeks. You do that, and
Mhm.
you
Huh.
look at the picture. I mean, basically that's what it is. You look after, concretely, you see in your kitchen, probably it's not going to be there anyway, right? Because you're going to clean it. But let's pretend it's
Yeah.
you go to another place and you don't like, and you see the wood, and you're going to be so grateful
Mm.
because
Mm.
that person has the food, like you said, to eat and
Yeah.
all that.
Huh.
That's basically it. Very
Hmm.
simple.
Yeah.
Very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay. Huh. Doesn't have to be complicated. I
So
feel
so
like
that's one. Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say I feel like I'm trying to make it too complicated.
We always do.
Mhm.
We always do, including myself, right? But it's very simple.
Mhm.
And so, so like, again, lots of people is going to talk to you about the brain. The brain is only an interface, right? It's only
Mhm.
your hard drive,
Yeah.
right? The mind, like you said, it's at a different level. It's like in different because we've got a torus around us.
Mhm.
We are all electrical. And
Mhm.
so, where there's an electrical things going into a shelf, it will
Mhm.
create an electromagnetic field. And we are all electromagnetic field, right? And so,
Uh-huh.
in that field, that's where part of our mind is. you've got a level of thought, you've got a level of emotion, you've got different level. I'm not going to get into that. But
Mm-hmm.
our mind is not, bottom line, our mind is not in our brain. That's such
Yeah.
a, and everybody that they focus on the brain, it's only an interface.
Mm-hmm.
A brain is like get the signal, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I see that, I perceive the reality, I can make
Uh-huh.
a picture, I can make I can see, I can touch, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the mind is not in the brain. The subconscious mind is not in your brain.
Hmm. Is it
See,
in the
that's the
body?
biggest mistake. All those researchers, they are, no, it's outside, it's in the field.
Huh. Hmm. So you're saying all the researchers are wrong about the mind being in the brain?
Correct.
Huh. Weird. So how do we interact with the mind then if it's not
Because
in the
where do you
brain?
think are, okay, very simple, very simple things. Where do you
Mm-hmm.
think our energy is coming from?
Our energy?
Yeah.
Well,
When we
so
died,
well, yeah.
it's a different energy, right?
Yeah,
So
it
where
just
that
goes
our
poof.
primal energy is coming from?
I have no idea.
So
It's
where it's
kind of
coming from?
yeah, it's from the 4D, 5D, who knows D.
It's not coming from the brain. It's not
Yeah.
coming from the brain. It's an
No.
interface. It's coming from our spirit. It's
Mhm.
coming from the divine.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
always talk, oh, I want more energy and all. You know what is the things that will zap your energy? Negative thought and negative emotion. I
Mm.
guarantee you it's called depression. What happened when you're depressed? You don't want to do nothing. You just
Mm-mm.
want to sleep because you have zero energy. Why are you
Mhm.
depressed? Because you've got negative thought and a negative emotion that they are so overwhelming to you that they zap your energy,
Mhm.
right? And so, what created those negative thought and emotion? That negative programming that is in your subconscious mind.
Mhm. Yeah. Mm.
So the energy is not coming from your brain. I mean, it's very simple things like
Mhm.
that. The energy is coming from your, whatever
Mhm.
you want to call God, awareness, whatever you believe is going through your spirit, going through your soul, and after going into your body,
Mhm.
right? And so the
Mhm.
soul is not in the brain, right? The
Yeah.
spirit is not in your brain, right?
Uh-huh.
The energy is not in your brain. So clearly your brain is only an interface. So you
Mm.
can do like, because it's like when you go to with a microscope and you always, they've got bigger and bigger microscope, and there's always something deeper and deeper. It's kind of like
Yeah.
with Russian doll, right? You go
Uh-huh.
deeper and deeper because
Yep.
it's infinite in the macro and the microcosmos.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's the way it is. And so, but just thinking about energy, you understand that your energy is not coming from your brain, it's coming from
Mhm.
that field.
Mhm.
It's much higher, and, even in another dimension. I don't mean to be like out there, but it shouldn't be out there.
Uh-huh.
Everybody should know that we are electrical. Everybody should know that everything vibrates in life,
Mhm.
right? Everything, a picture, a table, a computer, they just vibrate. That's how it
Yep.
works.
Yep.
And so putting only, again, the scientific research is like with a drug. We're looking at one thing and we look
Mhm.
like this, but you don't have the whole picture.
Mhm.
So when you study things, like when you study reaction in the body, you study only, it's called physiology, right? You study all
Mhm.
that. But we know that if you are positive, if you've got a positive mindset, your physiology is going to work much better,
Mhm.
right? If I've got positive thought, my heartburn's going to disappear, right?
Mhm.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's again, it's focusing only on the brain is like,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm maybe I'm wrong, right? But
Mhm.
I've got a strong conviction that it's only one step, and
Mhm.
there's something so much higher. And
Yeah.
when you think about energy, when even a very simple question, where your energy is coming from,
Mhm.
like when I ask you that, you say, okay, what do you mean? What do you mean my energy is there, right?
Mhm.
Well, when you die, your energy goes away, right? From
Mhm.
where it was before. But
Mhm.
again, energy always transform, never be lost.
Yeah.
So we never
Yep.
die in a way.
Mhm. Yep. I fully believe that. having kind of experienced it myself. So, uh, it's
Me too.
really, yeah, it's a very strange thing. And afterwards, you like it really does kind of change how you feel about life. It's like, oh, well, this is interesting now, isn't it?
Well, let's put it that way. You know, the biggest fear that you have is like the fear of death. And when
Mm,
the fear of death is gone, this is it,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
I mean, this is it. Like that's truly a part of the awakening process, I believe too. Is when you
mm,
lose that fear of death. I mean, really lose it, like it happened
mm,
to me. It just okay, whatever,
yeah,
right? And so when you don't have that fear, after you're really untouchable in a way, you
yeah,
really are, and you really can come into your full power for sure.
yeah, because you don't really have that shaming aspect trying to keep yourself alive, I guess. You can't sit there and keep telling yourself, I can't do that, it's not good for me, or whatever. And I don't know, there's a lot to it, but you do raise a really good point that after we achieve that mindset, once we see what's on the other side kind of thing, once we actually get a taste for it, then we're much more powerful than what everyone else kind of likes for us to believe. And so we're able to do a whole lot more, and we're able to just conquer the world in a sense. But we do have to kind of start on ourselves if we want
We're
to do
able to
anything.
conquer our inner
Ah,
world.
yeah.
You see, that's the things when you know, when you conquer your inner world, the outer world is like okay, of course, whatever, because you know where it's coming from.
Mhm.
It's coming from our inner world, and when you change your inner world, the outer world is gonna be like totally transformed like this. It can be transformed like this,
Mm,
you know. And
yeah.
so when people start to realize that, it's a game changer, and you can never, when you experience it, you can never go back. You can never go back to the way you were thinking before. You can never go back to the way you were believing before. That's why we call that the awakening.
Mhm.
You just finally realize that you're so much more than that, and you see the world totally differently,
Mhm.
right? Which is such a blessing.
Yeah. And I wish we could get everyone to a point of that, but they have to find their own path to awakening, per se, right? And it's not something that we can just say,
Yeah,
do.
and just what do you want in life?
Hmm.
Right? I mean, do what do you want? Do you want to have lots of money, or do you want to be more at peace? Do you want to have a more open heart?
Hmm.
What do you want? Right? That's really sometimes I've got a patient coming. I say, "What do you want?" And they ask me, "What do you
Hmm.
mean? I've got pain and that. What do you want? Right?
Yeah.
What is it that you want really? Okay, get rid of pain, but after what? Right? And some people they
Hmm.
say, "I want $1 million." I say, seriously, what do you want? What
Yeah.
are you going to do at $1 million, right? So
Hmm.
what truly is your essence? What is
Hmm.
your purpose in life? Like I was on a podcast and they were talking about success and failure. I said there's no
Hmm.
such a thing as a failure. If
Yeah.
you've got the mindset of a creator, there's no such a thing as a failure.
Yeah.
Because again, the darkness, right? That's how you're going to grow and expand that, right? And so
Hmm.
opportunity for you to grow and get better as a human being and whatever you want to accomplish in your goal, right?
Hmm.
So yes, but there's
Uh,
one thing that I think is very important.
okay.
It's okay, why are you here? What is it? What's your purpose?
Hmm.
Right? What is your mission in life?
Yeah.
Right? Why you do what you do? The why is
Hmm.
from the heart. So what your heart is telling you, you see, like the how you doing, it's from your head.
Hmm.
Right? Remember that curve, that first
Yep.
curve over. So it's your head, right? What you're doing. The why are you doing it is from your heart, and
Hmm.
what you do is from the gut, the
Hmm.
darkness, right? What you create,
Hmm.
right? But you need to have your why in order, right? It
Hmm.
means why I'm doing this. It's what your heart is telling you. So when
Hmm.
you know your mission in life, for example, I know my mission in life is to help people. That's very simple,
Uh-huh.
right? It's
Yeah.
just to help people. Period.
Mhm.
So the mission in life has to be very simple. And it doesn't have to be I want $1 million. Okay, you want this, what are you gonna do with that?
Mhm.
Why you want that?
Mhm.
Right? Do you want $1 million? Is it coming from fear or is it coming out of love?
Mhm.
Right? What is it? What are you gonna contribute What is your goal? How you going to contribute to humanity and your fellow human being by having
Yeah.
$1 million, right?
Mhm. Yep.
You see what I mean? And after, when you go truly into and embody your why, now we're talking, right? And
Mhm.
now that's going to feel your fire, right? That's going to be your fire. And after taking action, it's going to be some log that you put in your fire to make it grow, to make it really good, right?
Uh,
But you have to have that fire first, and that fire is your why. Why do
mhm.
you wake up every morning for? Right?
Yeah.
What's going to give you that energy, right? Is going to connect you to that energy, to your good intention, to your purpose, right?
Mhm.
Why you do things. And when you've got your why in order, after everything so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that is probably what keeps a lot of people kind of down a lot, is trying to figure out their why, or maybe thinking that they don't have a why, so they're no SIBOing themselves into not having one because maybe they think that they're not worthy. Who knows? That's just another program that they'd have to figure out and delete, huh?
Yeah, so or there's different technique that you can have
Mhm.
access to, or we can go like you visualize a tunnel or whatever, some different things, and you
Mhm.
can go there and see what kind of message you get, right? You say, okay,
Mhm.
what is my why, right? And see what happened to you.
Mm.
For me, my why has been given to me. I've been blessed, right? When I was in south
Yeah.
of France on my boat, I had free experiences, and I saw myself as a healer, right? And
Mhm.
helping other people. So changed. I totally listened to that. Sold my boat, my business, come to America to become a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And so it can be different, but there's different technique that you can use, and just to make sure that you get your why in order. And when this is, and that's gonna, after that setup, that's your fire. That's gonna set up. That's the energy again. We were talking about energy
Uh-huh.
that you're gonna have, that's gonna make you moving and love life, and if you can make it a job, like I was lucky enough, for me, you just
Mhm.
don't work, right? you
Yeah.
just you just you just be, right? You just doing what you are wired to do, right?
Mhm.
And that's such a blessing.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Alan, it had. Sorry. It has been an honor and a pleasure having you on today, and I thank you for all this because it's just interesting to hear that we're able to do so much more with our brains and what a lot of us have been kind of programmed to think that we can do. So, I thank you for everything that you've done for the show, and I also thank you for everything that you've done for humanity because it sounds like you've helped a lot of people throughout your experience and throughout your years here. So, on behalf of the world, thank you. Um, but with
Thank you so
that,
much, Kian. I appreciate it.
yeah, of course. And I think I think everyone should hear a thank you from someone every now and again, And so it's one of those things that as a healer, sometimes you don't get thanks. Sometimes a lot of people expect it from you because you are a healer. So I just want you to know that you're appreciated. And I also want to give your website a shout out one more time, and it's themindclearing.com. And do you think that we could probably see you on in the future again to maybe dive into something else? Dive into more of how the outer mind and programming like that kind of works?
Sure, why not?
Okay, coolio. Um, well, do you have
I
any?
mean, I enjoy our conversation with you because I
No, go
enjoy
ahead.
the
Go ahead.
conversation with you because we just we just flow, right? We
Hmm.
just go with it and see where it goes. And I like that mindset of um, sometimes it's good to have not too many structure and just go for it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I like with your podcast for sure.
Well, I appreciate it, sir. Uh, is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with tonight?
Yeah, I mean, what we mentioned about your why is so important. It
Mm-hmm.
really is, you know. And more I think about it, and it's funny because I did quite a bit of podcasts. I'm exposed to different questions and things like that. And some people sometimes they talk about legacy and things like that. And legacy, okay, that's fine. Legacy is basically what you will be remembered for.
Mm-hmm.
But the best legacy that you can do for you, your family, and humanity, like you were mentioning before, is to work on yourself, is to change and transform. Because if we want to
Mm-hmm.
change the world, you have be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's so it, right? And so know that only when you work on yourself and you become a better person, no matter what you decided, what modality you want, not only you're helping yourself, but you're helping your family because the people around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but also you're helping humanity as a whole. So don't take that lightly. This is
Yeah.
and I won't say it's super serious business, but this is so rewarding. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's not selfish to be focused on your inner world and change your inner world. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually the opposite of that.
Mm. Yeah. Ooh, that's a really good way to put that. It's not selfish to work on yourself because you're helping to change the world in the long run. So, uh,
Exactly.
well, Dr. Allen, thank you very much for that profound insight. And thank you for everything that you've done for the show and the rest of the world. And everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. This has been Keegan, and this has been Dr. Alan Salas. And we will see y'all next time, sometime in the future. But don't forget, if you're having a mental health crisis of some kind, you can dial 988 and someone will be there to answer the phone. If you're part of the LGBT plus community, you can dial the Trevor Project up in Canada. And don't forget, you got to love yourself, love others if you can, but you got to love yourself first. And we will see you all next week. With that being said, much love.